second question is whether AI can be used in delivering youth entrepreneurship support programs. Here's a question. Could chatbots, could they effectively provide business counseling to young people? So we'll be looking at these questions today. Looking forward to getting into that. Just quickly, some news to share about other activities of YEPA. There's a new paper on youth entrepreneurship policy on our YEPA website. And this is a paper that was written by Professor Rob Blackburn at the University of Liverpool, based on a series of international workshops that OECD was involved in on youth entrepreneurship policy. And it looks at the current state of youth entrepreneurship policy and future directions for governments. So we encourage you to have a look at that paper. Hopefully you've seen some email invitations about YEPA side events. They're extra to the regular program. We've had a good seminar on youth entrepreneurship in Croatia a couple of days ago. There's an upcoming event in Austria on the 13th and 14th of November as part of the Vienna Entrepreneurship Summit. So you are welcome to attend these extra events if you have time and think you could benefit from them. That's why we send these emails out. The YEPA participants in Sweden have let us know that they're organizing a meeting of Swedish youth entrepreneurship stakeholders next week. If you yourselves are interested in organizing side events or meetings in your country, we're happy to support you with that. So get in touch with David and with Helen. And then we're organizing an event on women entrepreneurs and supply chains, an OECD committee event on the 6th of November. We'll be sending out information on that to you, and you're welcome to attend that as well. So thanks for being part of YEPA. We're pleased to see how it's going. And let's hand back to the floor to get on with the AI topic.
Great. Thank you very much to both John and Julian for those remarks. It's great to see everybody here today. We've got an exciting topic, and I think we're all going to learn something today. Now, before we get into the agenda, I just want to quickly walk through it so that everybody knows the plan for today, because there have been some small changes, and so we'll just get everything straightened out right now. So I will start by doing a little bit of an introduction to the topic and the issues, and then I'm going to pass the floor to Hess from Cyprus, who will then pick it up with a very good provocative presentation that will tell us all about what's happening in the world of AI and entrepreneurship. And then we'll have some time to discuss and pose some questions. That will be followed by a panel. And the panel is going to be made up of some young entrepreneurs who are already using AI in their businesses and have launched businesses based on AI. So they can tell us what they're doing, how it works, and we can see that, this is not an issue of tomorrow. It's here right now, and it's happening. And so we need to think about all of the questions that John raised and the implications for policy. Then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll go into some case studies in 2 breakout rooms. And the case studies, one will be about an incubator that is supporting AI businesses, so we can learn about what they're doing and how their support for AI businesses is different from other technology businesses. And the other case study is from JA Europe, and they're going to be talking about how they're already adjusting their training programs for young entrepreneurs to account for AI. Then, we're going to switch again so everybody can see both case studies, and then we'll come back and have some discussion and wrap up. So that's the plan. And without further ado, I'm going to get into the introductory presentation. Okay. Does it look good?
It's not full. Oh, there it goes. It's full
There we
screen.
go. Okay, here we go. Workshop 4, AI and Youth Entrepreneurship. So I wanted to start by trying to define, because I think AI is a term that we hear quite frequently, but perhaps we don't really know what it means. So, you know, the OECD has got a special initiative on AI, and they're doing a lot of work around not only the technology developments, but the implications for governments, covering a whole range of issues from legal, regulations, IP. And there's some pretty fundamental questions about to what extent should these technologies be regulated? And then if the answer is yes, well, how do you go about doing that? But let's take a step back and look at the question of what is AI? So this OECD initiative has defined an AI system as machine-based system that basically takes inputs and then generates outputs. And that could be predictions, it could be content, written content, photos, videos, it could give you advice, it can make decisions. And these systems are essentially, large programs that are trained with data. And then based on that training, they're basically able to make autonomous decisions for users. Now, we see this in many different ways right now. I'm sure all of you have heard about ChatGPT and various other generative AI tools and applications. But that's just the tip of the surface. You would increasingly see AI functions built into other software programs. We saw this week that Apple announced integrated AI functions into the next iPhone, and surely other smartphones will be doing the same thing in the coming months. Just a quick anecdote as another example. I was reading the news last week, and I saw that there's an actor, I think he was in the UK, an actor, he was driving his car, listening to a new audiobook that he just got, and he was absolutely stunned to hear that the voice reading the audiobook was his voice. And he was absolutely baffled how this could be. And he went back looking at all the work he had done over the past year, and he realized that he had done a short voiceover piece of work that he got through the platform Fiverr. It was just a 2-minute recording he did, and he didn't really know what it was for. And it turns out that it was, a company hired by a technology company to hire actors to do short voices, which were then used to train AI systems. And so this company was generating audiobooks using his voice, and he was oblivious. And so he's taken them to court. And that, signals a lot of issues about, who owns the output of AI. So there's a lot to get into, and it's certainly not settled yet. But anyway, we're focused on entrepreneurship today, so we'll try to focus on that. Just to let you know, investment in AI development is, of course, increasing exponentially. The power and capabilities of the tools equally increasing exponentially. The amount of data required to train them falling dramatically. And so there's great potential in AI for all kinds of applications. But we also have to recognize that there are some risks and perhaps even dangers with AI. So we'll look at these with respect to entrepreneurship. I think the main points are to recognize that AI is and will be affecting the labor market. There are certain tasks that AI can do that might replace humans. There are certainly many tasks where the AI can enhance what a human is doing. And so that's going to be changing how work is organized. It's going to be changing how skills and labor are required by companies. And of course, we also have to recognize that all of these impacts are going to be very uneven. It will impact some occupations more than others. It will impact some industries more than others. It will impact some places more than others. And so there's also questions around equality and inclusion that we have to remember because some people will probably be left behind. And so that is possibly one area where governments will want to put some attention. So for young people, what does this mean? Well, this is a new and very quickly evolving area. So we don't have a lot of research to tell us what's happening. There's not really much data. So what we're proposing here on the screen is probably more like a hypothesis, a best guess. We certainly know that young people embrace technology developments more quickly than adults. So we would expect that young people would be using AI in their businesses at a much higher rate than people of my age or older. We have to recognize that it's not just technology businesses that are going to be impacted. AI can be used in any type of business. And we'll see some examples later in the panel where we'll learn about young entrepreneurs and how they are using AI today in their business. As John indicated, there are a lot of opportunities for AI. It could help level the playing field. Young people could use AI to overcome some of their challenges, including a lack of experience or a lack of knowledge, a lack of skills. AI could help overcome some of those challenges. And as I said, we have to also keep in mind the issue of diversity and inclusion, and also the risks that AI itself could be biased, because AI is coded by people and AI is trained based on data provided by people. And so if there are biases in either the code or the way that the machine learning and training is done, then certainly the AI is going to carry on with those biases. And so we have to keep in mind that those could impact entrepreneurs in a whole host of different ways as well. So for government, what's happening? Well, of course, there's a lot of work at the very high level in how AI should be integrated into our societies, to what extent should it be controlled or not controlled. So there are a lot of very high level strategies. There's certainly a lot of legal work going on trying to define, as I already said, IP issues and so on. And there are a growing number of initiatives to try to research projects to help advance technology, skills development, network building. And even when you get into the business support policy area, you can see that it's already being integrated in different functions, such as some basic business advice being provided through AI systems. We'll see examples later on about how it's being included in incubation services already. And certainly training programs are out there for entrepreneurs, and some specifically for young entrepreneurs. So we want to look at how this is changing youth entrepreneurship support. And we want to make sure that youth entrepreneurship support is keeping up with these trends so that it's relevant for young entrepreneurs. And so we're going to be getting into all of this a little bit further. And I'm going to pass it to Hess, who will extend what I've been trying to introduce, and he's going to share his knowledge. He's much more of an expert than I am at the moment. So Hess, I'm going to pass it over to you. And then after Hess's presentation, we can spend about 10 or 15 minutes taking questions and having some discussion. So Hess, it's a real pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us. And I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, David, for the opportunity here. Just want to make sure that everyone sees and hears me clearly. Is that good for everybody?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So, hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here and having the chance to present to you a short presentation that I have prepared for the purpose of today's workshop. With no further ado, let me share my screen so that we can jump into the presentation and get a little bit of an introduction of what I have prepared for you. All right. So, as David mentioned, the topic of today's workshop is about new era of AI and rapid technology innovation. And we're mostly focused about youth entrepreneurship today and how AI and rapid technologies affect the entrepreneurship system in general, and some focuses on the youth on this presentation. So I'm just going to quickly tell you who I am. My name is Hesad Nani. I am one of the representatives from Cyprus and the co-founder of Unity Growth and country director of Startup Grant Cyprus. Just to briefly tell you what we do in Cyprus is we have the largest entrepreneurship community of the island. We are running 1 to 2 events, entrepreneurship events and education and training per month. So we are, one of the most active players in the market that are mostly focused in educating and sharing experiences and bringing people together so that entrepreneurs can find each other, share knowledge and experiences with each other. My handle is Hes4N, as you can see on the screen. You can add me in any social media platform by just searching that handle. And the organization that we are running currently in Cyprus is called Unity Growth, and we are mostly active in 2 focuses. We run academies, and through the academies, we train individuals and groups on running better and more productive and impactful businesses. So these are workshops, events, conferences. We run the biggest women in business conference in Cyprus. And hopefully next year in 2025, we're going to run the biggest women in business conference in the region, Middle East. So you're more than welcome to join us next year for the conference. And on the side of the academy, we have services, professional services like consulting, coaching, marketing, and corporate accelerator for businesses. So let's get started with what I have prepared today for you, and with the topic of how AI is transforming the market and the work. So before doing that, I know that David gave a quick explanation of what AI is, but just to briefly go through this technology, AI is a field of computer science that creates intelligent machines to perform tasks like human intelligence. So that we can use AI to replace repetitive, boring tasks, free up our time, focus more on creativity and strategy and innovation. So how AI machines work is that the AI machine learning is given with a large amount of data and a large amount of variety of data. And machine learning within the system trains on this data and learns on its own about this big, massive, let's say, a database of data. And then within the prompting, which is us humans asking the computers about an information, this machine learning system and an AI can answer and predict and strategize or other tasks within learning from the big data. So the bigger the amount of data you feed to the machine, the better results you get out of the machine. So this is how the AI works. So no wonder companies are very keen about data engineering, big data, and all these topics that are out there. And this AI, let's say, system are reshaping industries, and it's not slowing down, and it's going quicker and quicker. And we have industries like healthcare, finance, marketing, logistics that are getting heavily affected by AI. So just to summarize here, AI and new technologies that are coming out are here to stay. So there is only one way forward, and that is to adapt and transform our new era of work with having AI and new technologies integrated. So just to back this information up, I have found some statistics and data and trends for 2024. We're expecting an annual growth rate of 37.3% from 2023 to 2030. So we are on a very rapid growth within the next, let's say, 7 to 10 years. In 2023 for every $4 invested, $1 was invested in AI startups and AI companies. And we could be expecting that AI could already right now with the technology that we have could replace 300 million jobs. So This is to give you an image of how powerful these systems are. And we can see the chart on the right side about the funding. Also, David mentioned about that as well. There are more and more fundings on AI, and especially in 23 and 24. And then it is expected to create 133 million new jobs. So there are some jobs that are becoming obsolete, and there are some new jobs coming out. So this is the integration of having AI in our market. And 25% of the jobs will be disrupted by AI within the next years. And we are estimating to have a market of $1.3 trillion by 2030 for AI startups and AI businesses. And from the, let's say, the surveys that were out there, business operation workers has answered that their, let's say, operation performance has increased by 66% using AIs. So this is a massive shift. So obviously there are some fears and misconceptions. So let's talk a little bit about the reality and how the future looks like. So one of the biggest fears out there is that AI will replace all of our jobs. And the reality of it is that it will not replace our jobs. It will transform our jobs, meaning that instead of AI becoming humans and doing the human job, AI will become sidekicks and assistants while humans are doing their jobs. So a lot of the tasks that are, let's say, not creative and repetitive and data-driven will be replaced by AI. Therefore, the jobs of humans would change more towards creativity, innovation, strategizing, planning, making sure that things are smoothly running. So these are the shift that we see in the type of jobs that we see. A misconception is that AI is only for tech companies. That is not true, because AI is integrating in all companies. There's another thing that says, another fear that is out there about AI making entrepreneurship too complicated and too competitive, because now it's faster to generate content, it's faster to create companies, it's faster to grow. However, it's just an advanced tool that any entrepreneur and any startup can use in order to advance their startups. Also, there's a misconception about AI threatening the creativity and human intuition. Again, it is freeing up our time so that we can be more creative. So as an example, right now, a day of a young entrepreneur using AI looks something like this. So a young entrepreneur can wake up in the morning and he or she can use an AI-powered personal assistant. Like, what am I doing today? What are my meetings? What are my tasks? What is the most important things to focus on? What are the least important? How much is the estimated time to do what we need to do, right? And then maybe down the line, working on the things that the entrepreneur is working, maybe he or she needs to do a client research. He can do it easily with the AI-driven systems. Maybe she needs to do a content creation and marketing. AI does 60 to 70% of the jobs that was done by humans in 3 years ago. There are admin tasks. Maybe she needs to answer emails, 20 emails. AI can draft answers for 20 emails for that person to just send out, review and send out. There could be chatbots for customer service. So we don't need the entrepreneur doesn't need to answer every message. The chatbot can talk and only give to the person, to the human, what needs the most attention, human attention. So, all the rest of the answers that are easy enough for chatbots to answer are done. And end of the day, maybe the AI can, manage what's been done on the day and plan the next day. So AI task management can do the job. This is something that easily can happen right now. There are technologies out here without the need of any tech-related knowledge. This is happening right now. How it will look like within the 2-3 years in the future? Well, we've got a more hyper-personalized AI assistant for sure. Like, AI can assist you in more advanced tasks and predict more advanced things. And like maybe even answer your emails on your behalf and just add things automatically to your task list from your email. Maybe AI augmented client pitches can happen. If there's someone is pitching a business, they can go in an augmented reality space, and using AI, they can pitch to investors and other companies. Automated business growth strategies. AIs can handle intelligent decisions and intelligent planning. AI coach for personal development, that is all the way to like emotional well-being, work-life balance, can be also coached by AI. And collaboration between the teams, like there could be an AI system that really can automate the collaboration between the teams and grow the efficiency of the teams out there. So how do we transition into the future of AI? So basically, first thing we need to do is to learn, to invest in learning and upskilling. For the young entrepreneurs, this is something that it is necessary, or otherwise you will not survive in the market in the future. So it is necessary for to learn about new tools, new technologies, and stay in the competitive market. We need to look into having AI as a business partner, like, you know, having AI integrated into our business. We need to have a cultural shift in our market. We need to understand, first of all, that AI is here to stay, and learn about AI, integrate AI, and also integrated within the culture of our companies. And plus, on top of that, because AI feeds on big data, there needs to be a more importance placed on data gathering and data collection and data analysis and management for the companies. Also, partnerships and collaborations. If there are companies out there that can help you integrate AI into business, why not to partner with them? Why not to collaborate? And financial accessibility, meaning that making AI technology more affordable for startups with limited budgets, so that they can compete with larger firms. So how can we prepare for the future of AI and tech? As a young entrepreneur, again, is about learning and adaptability. It's not too complicated to learn, but it does require a little bit of time and adjustment for the young entrepreneurs. Embracing AI tools, learning new tools that can help with the efficiency of your time, developing AI strategy, experimenting and iterating with AI, getting your hands dirty. These are the things that the young entrepreneurs can do right now. For organizations, again, it is about the culture of their organization, of how the company or an organization accepts AI and invests in AI technology within their operations, and invests in AI training. Maybe the companies and organizations should provide free access to AI tools to their employees and to their team members, collaborating with the AI initiative and creating a safe space for AI experimentation. It is okay, it's a new technology. We all, through the lifetime that we had for the past 20 years, we have been adapting to new technology, smartphones, internet, all that. And this is a new one coming out, AI. And we need a period of trial and error until we grasp how to use AI properly. And for policymakers, well, we need more supportive AI policies. We need a better balance between innovation and regulations from the policy makers. We need funding for AI startups, because the faster we can grow this technology to integrate within the organizations, the faster we can grow the organizations themselves. We need education. We need to promote education. We need to fund education, AI education. And we need to have, alongside AI research and development hubs. And just to wrap this up, for the policymaker, there needs to be an ethical AI standards, because right now there are not that many regulations on AI and data privacy and the terms placed on it. So there needs to be some research, some teams. I know that there are a lot of committees out there that are doing this, but within the next few years, we're going to see a big boom of AI. So we need to be prepared for the ethical standards. So, are you ready for the transition? I have prepared some questions for discussion for later to open up some talks and some ideas. We can be talking about what are the challenges integrating the AI within organizations and policymaking bodies. We can talk about what are the in what ways do you think AI will change the skills needed for future young entrepreneurs? What role should governments and policymakers play in supporting AI-driven entrepreneurship? We can talk about the industries and the sectors that AI might, impact. More, less, overestimated, underestimated. We can talk about strategies to adapt AI into small businesses without having too much extensive resources. And just how AI is shaping your entrepreneur effort and the landscape within the 5 years. So these are some of the topics that we can be talking about later. Thank you very much. And I'll give the stage to David.
Thank you very much, Hess. That was a great presentation. I certainly learned a lot, and I'm sure that most people did. So we've got time now to discuss some of these questions briefly, or to ask questions of Hess. So we're going to open the floor, and as usual, you can raise your hand using the function in Zoom, or you can put questions, comments into the chat, or we can just come up on the floor and ask a question with the microphone. So who wants to take the floor? I see a hand from several people now. So we'll go in groups, okay? So we'll go Fernando first, then Lucia second, and then we'll go back to Hess or others depending on the question or comments. So Fernando, you're up first.
Hello everyone, good morning. Hess, very nice to see your presentation and very nice to connect with you again. I just want to collaborate with what Hess said. I think that when you're entrepreneuring AI, there's a series of things that it can become prohibitive at the very first, like the cost of, like hiring CPUs and GPUs on the cloud to train models. Using GPUs is very cost intensive, which is something that can be quite costly at the very beginning, which if you have a marketplace or a SaaS platform, but you only need a cloud space, it is not something that expensive. So one of the things I would say is how can we democratize processing power? Otherwise it becomes impossible for early stage entrepreneurs to even try. No one is an expert on AI from day zero, so there's a lot of testing error, and just testing error like having GPUs, it's really expensive. The second thing that I've seen, I think that everyone is familiar with the Draghi's report, the 400 pages that released super soon, and one of the main criticisms was like regulation, and how Europe is really behind United States, China, and other countries when it comes to regulation. So what's the midterm, that you can create that it makes business viable, because sometimes there's so much bureaucracy that makes business, at the very beginning, it's really a huge barrier on how I overtake all this regulation in order to be able to create something very innovative. Innovation means disrupting status quo. And then if you have a lot of regulations, you cannot disrupt per se. So I think this is what I see as the two main challenges. If you want to boost, AI ecosystem, one, it's, find a way to cost experimenting in AI. And second, find a way as well to create test beds or ideal regulatory frameworks that then founders can feel comfy, trying the sector.
Great, thanks very much for those points, Fernando. We'll take another point from Lucia with her points and comments, questions, then we'll go back to Hess for a reaction, and then we'll do another round with the floor and the chat because I see some questions over there as well. So Lucia.
Yeah, thank you for your speech, first of all. And after, I just wanted to ask, what do you think about AI Act? Do you think that it represents like an important policy right now, and it is like a risk for enterprises, or do you find that it is written well and it is useful for enterprises and consumer? What do you think about that?
Right. So let me just start quickly with the topics that Fernando brought up. First of all, nice to see you, Fernando. Hope to see you again in person. Well, about the GPUs and the computing power, it is expensive and it is in the hand of a few bigger organizations that provide these cloud systems. So one thing definitely I would comment on that is to for the policymakers to get into this let's say activity. And I cannot clearly remember, but there was one of the governments in the world that started buying a lot of GPUs and creating computing power. So policymakers can purchase tech and hardware and create powerhouses, which then can be shared with the citizens to do their micro tasks within the computing power that the policymakers are providing. So that's one thing, and there definitely needs funding for that. So it needs the entire structure. Going back is how much policymakers are seeing the change of the AI, how much value are they putting, how important it is to the policymakers about this change, and are they lagging or are they staying with the changes? So that is one topic that could be discussed about the computing power. About better regulations for innovations in general, there needs to be a balance. So every government, every policymaker is creating some sort of balance, and I'm sure that from both parties are the policies are supporting fast enough innovation and a safe space for the companies to thrive, right? So that is again another discussion, case by case, with the governments. For Lucia, about your question about AI Act, to be honest, I have not reviewed the act itself. Maybe you can share some points of what you think is concerning you, and we can talk about it. I'm open for discussion.
Okay, why don't we go to the chat? There are a few questions and comments over there. First, there's a question from Lenka. She says, thank you, that was an interesting presentation. Could you please tell us how AI could possibly help in social entrepreneurship? So not your traditional business models, but in a socially oriented business. Maybe you have some examples you could share. And then there's a comment from Brigitte. She says, we read a lot that AI growth is slowing down and might not have the expected overwhelming impact on the world of work. So maybe you have a comment on that as well. Hess?
Yeah. So for social entrepreneurship, I need to mention something. The impact of AI, the way it impacts organizations and markets is from the macro level, meaning that it impacts your basic way of working. So social entrepreneurship is a topic that sits at the top, let's say, and is the personal way of doing work. That's where AI mostly comes in, right? It's about how you write your emails, it's about how you create an article, it's about how you strategize and brainstorm with an AI. It's about how you create images, videos. These are the basic elements that you can right now use AI and get a lot done. You can create a book right now from AI. You can create a research paper. There are databases that you can tap into. So the impact is from the macro level, is from the bottom up, right? So it affects every activity and market the same. So social entrepreneurship, I would say people active in social entrepreneurship needs to learn how they can integrate AI within the professional life, and that will create more efficiency of their operation within social entrepreneurship so it results in more impact, right? However, again, you can go and focus on the topic of social entrepreneurship and come up with other way of using AI for that specific topic. For example, you could just top of my head, you could do 20 surveys about a social entrepreneurship project, take the result of that survey, give it to the AI or ChatGPT or whatever AI that you're using, and then asking the AI for predictions, asking AI for behaviors, social behaviors. You can ask AI about decisions and future plans within the data. So it's, again, it is how you use it on a personal, professional level. About the question of AI slowing down, this is very much predictable because usually if you see the chart and the graph of innovation is a big spike of new technologies and new innovation coming in, and it is the period of adjustment and period of integration, right? Because at the end of the day, these startups are creating these AI technologies to have customers. And if there are too many of these startups at the same time and not a ready market to integrate these tools, then obviously it will slow down. And whenever the market is saturated enough with AI tools and is craving again, it's desiring more tools and more reasons and seeing the result of the usage of the previous AI startups, then we'll see another spike of new AI startups coming out.
Okay, thank you. I see Fernando. I think you've raised your hand again, so I'll pass the floor back to you in 2 seconds. Before we do that, I'll do the last call for any other people to raise their hands or put a question in the chat before we close this session. So thank you, Fernando. Back to you for now.
Okay, one very useful thing that I like to suggest is you don't really need to create a fully model and train a full model to do 90% of the work with AI. So if you have a plan, in a sense that, AI adoption, most of the times, the very first step, you can get a model that already exists and just train the model on your data set. And that will solve like 90% of the problems of the founders that, when you create a predictive model for architecture or when you create a predictive model for business or whatever. The only case that you need really to train your data set, it's when, it's really advanced stuff. So if you sort of have a policy in where we assess like, okay, what's really the needs of, producing their own model against getting a model that already exists and you only train this model on your data. And then if you also have data sets that, so when you train a model, you also need a data set. So if you also have public data sets, which is, it's easy for someone to start a model from zero, then you can create a program in which you say like, okay, this is a pre-trained model that you just need to train the model on your data. And this is, fix 90% of the problems. And if someone wants to create something from zero, they say like, okay, this is the mentor that will teach you how to create something from zero. And these are some data sets that you can use to already pre-train your model on these data sets. And I think this will be really, really useful, like as a public policy, because we'll then, I don't know if it was clear, just because I work with AI all day. So for me, it makes totally sense. But I think this will be very useful as a policy.
Okay, thank you for that, Fernando. We'll give the last intervention to Christian. You can take the floor. Christian. We cannot hear you. I think you're on mute.
So sorry, typical. Thank you, Hes, for this very interesting presentation. I'm not an entrepreneur myself. I'm more, let's say, working on policy, on training and education systems and so on. So my question is more related to the skill sets. So according to you, what are the new skill sets that are needed for young entrepreneurs to use this AI? I can imagine digital skills, but maybe there is something else that is important. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments and the questions. So Fernando, first starting with you, it's a very in-depth that we were getting here as well about data sets and training models. Just to give everyone an idea of this concept is that data sets is what I mentioned about gathered data about a specific topic, right? A set of data for a specific topic that organizations can collect. It can be as simple as what I mentioned, do 20 surveys, gather the data from the survey, feed the machine, the AI machine with your survey result. That can be a very, very simplified version of it. And then the machine, the model, there are different models of AI for different purposes. And then you can train the model or you can create your own model to behave and act in a way of how you want the AI to act. So this is what Fernando was talking about in a very simplified concept, as for sure. And I do agree with you about using the existing data models and existing technologies to just, feed whatever you have and get the result of not fully training the model, but then creating a model in a model like that. That I agree with that, and there needs to be available technology and funding for creating this atmosphere, and also experience and skills. These are other things. So I agree with you there. About the skill sets that Christian asked, right now what's happening is some part of the population don't know anything about the AI. There are parts that are using it in a basic level, and then medium level, and then high-end level, like Fernando, on a daily basis dealing with AI, right? So we could start the skill set training from the very, very basic for the population that are not knowing and not using at all. For the entrepreneurs that are just still using, still building businesses with the traditional way of building businesses, right? We can show them. We can okay, do more basic workshops. We do that in Cyprus as well. We have AI and automation workshops for absolute beginners. We start from scratch, starting what AI is, the tools, how you can use it, how you can talk to the AI, And then in 2 hours, people go from knowing nothing, we had lawyers, accountants knowing nothing, and knowing something. And then 2 months later, they will come back to us and say, you know what, we have increased on efficiency for 50% now, right? And we have turned that AI workshop, we got so popular in Cyprus that we have turned the AI workshop in an online course. You can contact me privately. I can provide you the link to the online course. So I suggest to start from a very, very basic level and then start adding layers to these skill sets, like training AI models, collecting data sets, hiring an AI expert in your organizations, creating an AI culture, and also within the universities. A few years ago, most of the universities were kind of scared of AI because the students were using AI to do the university work, right? It's two ways to handle that. Is either you fight against it, you put all these regulations and stuff that you cannot be using AI for your assignment, or you can shift the assignment, change the assignment in a way that students can use AI as an assistant and still, create learning and skill set learning and benefit from the assignments. If the assignment is so simple enough that you can just put it into ChatGPT and get an answer, then it's 2024. We're moving forward. We have access to so much information out there and to AI that these kind of assignments are not beneficial anymore. It's like invention of calculators. Before, we needed to know doing hard math, and then calculators were invented, and we don't need to know exactly 100 divides by whatever because we have calculators, right? So emphasis is not there anymore. It's on how to use the calculator now, and then on and on and on. And this is what's happening right now. We need to know how to use AI from a teenage, let's say, perspective, or even elementary school, how to use AI integrated in your life and speed up the education and learning and going to more advanced topics, having AI as an assistant.
Thank you very much, Hess. That was a great session. I think we've all learned a little bit about what's happening. And so we're going to carry this on in the next section where we meet some young entrepreneurs who are doing this as part of their business to help make some of these concepts a bit more tangible and concrete as to how it's being used right now. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Max Ube from DG Employment. He is the head of unit for future of work and youth employment, and he's going to be moderating this panel discussion. So Max, thanks again for joining us. And I'll also call our 3 young entrepreneurs to the floor. So Max, thanks again, over to you. We cannot hear you, Max. I think you're on mute. Max, in the bottom left, there's an audio button with an arrow. Perhaps you need to select your headphones from the options. I propose that while we're sorting out this, we can go to the introductions of the young entrepreneurs who have joined us on the screen. So we've got 3 with us today, and we're very grateful that they took time out of their business and daily life to join us to tell us about what they're up to. So we've got 3. We've got Elliot, Joanna, and Philippe. And so why don't we go around the screen and we'll get them to introduce themselves and their business. So we'll start with Elliot first. Elliot, we cannot see you. Are you there?
Yeah, that is weird. But you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I must check. Still can't see me?
No, but you can go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll deal with the camera later.
Yeah, so my name is Elliot. I am 15 years old and I have founded Roaster AI, which is a AI first customer service platform for e-commerce fashion brands. That's a quick introduction of me. I have worked with AI for a couple of years. So yeah.
There we go, I'm unmute. Thanks, Elliot. We'll learn more as we go through the discussion. We'll go turn to Joanna now, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Joanna. I'm talking from Lisbon, Portugal. I'm a biomedical engineer by training, an entrepreneur by heart. I usually say this. I co-founded Klings Health, which is a digital health startup. We are basically using technology to make physiotherapy more engaging, more motivating for patients, while making it more objective and more analytical also for healthcare professionals. Recently, I also started helping other startups, and one of the ones that I'm helping launch is Lampsy, and we are using AI to automatically detect epilepsy seizures, and with that, we can send automatic alarms and save lives, hopefully.
That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. We'll learn more as we go through the discussion. And Philip, over to you.
Philip, you'll have to excuse me for my presentation because my nose suddenly started to bleed. Happens all the time, no problem. We'll get through this. I'm the co-founder of Jay. We're building a B2B marketing content assistant. Just rapidly, what does it do? We're trying to turn the human authentic voice into content at scale for marketeers and for content marketeers.
Okay, thanks. Max, how are we doing? Do we have audio yet? Max, can you hear us? Okay, well, we'll move along and check in with Max in a moment. So the first question is a question to everybody. And it is, we've learned a little bit about AI already today. We've had some introductory presentations to get us all up to speed. And we see that it's a rapidly evolving field. Yet all three of you are very young entrepreneurs, and you've all managed to introduce AI into your business. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you went about doing that? Where did you get your inspiration? Where did you learn how to do it from? Where did you get the skills and knowledge? And were there any special resources that you used to help you? So why don't we start with Elliot?
Yeah, so I personally have always loved building stuff. And so when I was around 11 years old, we got computers to our schools, and everybody wanted to play games on the computers. Nobody wanted to do the schoolwork. So, but the school had managed to block all the IP addresses to these gaming websites, so nobody could play the games. But then I found out about this programming language called Scratch, where you could build your own games just by using like drag and drop blocks. It was like a super simple programming language, basically. So me and my friends started to build games in Scratch and let the other kids play these games. And that's when I kind of fell in love with technology and building stuff that people want. So the teachers found out about this, so we couldn't do it anymore. But that's kind of when I got opened my eyes for technology. So I started to watch YouTube videos and go like free courses online to learn how to program. And later I also found out, because I played a lot of chess, so I got introduced to an AI chess engine called the AlphaZero, which had learned to play chess just by playing against itself. So when I found out about AlphaZero, I realized what an impact AI is going to have in this coming century if it can like learn how to do something as complex as chess just by playing against itself. So that's kind of when I started to take online courses on AI and like watch YouTube videos. So that's kind of how I got into the field of AI and technology.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Elliot. So Max is back. Max has audio, it seems. So I'm going to pass the floor to Max to control. We just started the first round of questions with Elliot. So we'll go to Joanna next, then Philip.
Yeah, okay. I'm really terribly sorry. I don't know what happened. Sometimes I'm a bit annoyed when no organizer of events do these test runs, but they are apparently important. No, we had yesterday, the whole team had some IT issues here. So you are in the second round. I suppose you have done your introductions, right? Everybody knows
yes,
who you
right.
are, what you're doing, is aware that you are real champions, and happy to have you here. So second round, and Elliot, who I cannot see, has spoken. So next would then be Joanna, I think.
Exactly. Okay. So as I mentioned, I'm an engineer. So actually my contact with AI started while I was studying. I had the basis for analytical thinking and statistics and math. But then I also had the contact with the machine learning courses firsthand while I was studying. In fact, it started interesting me because when I was about to decide what would be the theme for my master thesis, I was very fascinated about AI, and I worked on the topic that was on effective computing. So basically, in that project, I was exploring the use of biosignals or physiological signals from our body to understand emotions in humans. So my interest started back then. And then, of course, I also explored some platforms that make available some courses for us to deepen our knowledge in these fields, like Coursera and YouTube as well. That was the beginning. Then, of course, in the startup, we also worked a bit on these topics. But then my interest started going more towards strategy and business. And more recently, I've been working as innovation manager in a research center. So I've been helping many researchers in their projects working with AI in many different tech fields like telecommunications, from optics to quantum computing, also medtech. And many of these projects use AI, and with that, I'm also learning a lot on the potential use of AI in many live, real world applications, but also its risks and the consequences and how we can, leverage it, but at the same time, be very careful in how we use it.
Thanks a lot. So a lot of learning also by doing. And since you mentioned the risks, and I had no chance to introduce myself, I mean, these are issues that we at the European Commission or in DG Employment look at. No, there are, of course, plenty of opportunities, and you have all described them also in the previous sessions, but there are also challenges and risks we are looking into. That brings us to Philip.
Yeah, I think my story is kind of similar to the one of Elliot, that I've always been in love with technology and everything. Since I was like a little kid, I was playing with, the Lego blocks and building stuff. I had a Furby, and I like took the electronics out just to see how it worked. So everything in my brain is wired to just take something, try to break it and see how it works, and then get farther from that. But I think my love for AI really started when I was on an Erasmus in South Korea. And it was at the end of the project, but then GPT-3 came out, like just a beta version that some people could test it. I applied for it immediately, started testing with it, and we had so many great ideas that we eventually wrote it down on paper, went to some professors of ours and checked if there was some startup competition that we could just, see if there's a tangible metric to this, if this would be interesting to launch. So then eventually we applied for a startup competition, ended up placing second with an ID to enhance worktivity with a productivity tool. Work and productivity, sorry. The name was Worktivity. So we added AI to that to see when a person was really productive and when they weren't, and then to schedule pauses, to schedule their calendar, stuff like that. And when I came back to Belgium from that journey in South Korea, I thought, well, there's something really tangible in here. There's something I have to do about it, because it's a world that's so rapidly changing right now. There's so much change in AI. Even I can't keep up sometimes, just because it's every day there's something new. I started working on some like tangible problems. So some project, it wasn't instantly a startup where I started, but just rather seeing where people had problems and try to solve them and see if I could solve them with AI. And more projects started coming in. I saw more and more ideas just by looking online, what did people have problems with, just seeing in my network what did people have problem with, and then try to solve that with AI. And that's where we eventually landed with Jay. Started the company. We saw a lot of problems in the B2B marketing world, and we saw AI as a huge asset in this, into turning something that's really authentic, which is the human voice, into actually scalable content. And that's something like really important for me in the world of AI still, is keeping that authenticity at a core. There's still a human at its core. That's what we want to scale.
Great story. Thanks, Philip. And since you mentioned the humans, this is also an important aspect in our work now, to have, at least when it comes to important decisions in the world of work, like dismissing someone, that there should be a human in the loop. Let's move to the next round of questions on adopting and integrating AI. And we start this time with Philip. Assuming now AI will be adopted more and more across industries, there are fears that we humans will be replaced by artificial intelligence. How do you see that?
Yeah, that's the question that always pops up. Will I be replaced with AI? Just like a quick flashback, that was the same when the printer came out, when the internet came out, when robots came out. Everybody asked the same question: will I be replaced? It's just very simple. No, you'll not be replaced by those things. You'll be replaced by the people who use those tools. And just like the printer, the internet, and robots, AI is a tool to get us somewhere, to get us to an endpoint that we want to go. So I see it more as in that the people really need to be upskilled. So every time that I go through a company to see where they can integrate AI to maximize what they want to do, it always starts with people. So it's in a pyramid form. You start with people, then you go to systems, and then you go to fundamentals. And really, the people are the ones building your company, are the ones working the most. So just a 1% increase in each person, that increases very rapidly if those people know how to use tools. And then secondly, once you start integrating those tools into your systems, or like AI into your systems, people actually know what's behind it, and it becomes less mystique. It's demystified. People know what's behind it, and if they know what is behind a certain tool or something, it's less scary. And they can also say, hey, I have an idea. Can I add on to that? Can I add this? And they start seeing possibilities. So instead of going from this scared standpoint of will I be replaced, they're more enthusiastic. They'll be saying, okay, that's very cool. Now this is doing that automatically with AI. Maybe I can do this as well. And that just enables people to focus way more on what they love doing and what they're really good at. So the really human and complex creative tasks instead of, the menial and repetitive ones.
Thanks a lot, Philip. Given that we are running a bit behind the schedule, let's move directly to Joanna. You have experience at the intersection of AI and healthcare, which is, of course, a rather sensitive area. How do you believe that entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs can responsibly integrate AI into healthcare solutions where, of course, the trust and privacy issues are very important for patients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, I think healthcare is like one of the fields with the most potential for innovation and for improvement of people's lives. But at the same time, using AI, but at the same time, there's a few topics we really need to keep in mind and be careful about. First of which are being careful with data privacy and data handling and security. Of course, it is true for like across all industries in Europe with GDPR, but it's something that it's particularly important for handling medical data. That's the first topic. I think secondly, it's really important for us as innovators to keep to be in touch and to collaborate with the medical experts throughout the whole process. From idea, from conception, from testing until deployment. And even after launching the medical devices in the market, it's also very important to kind of embracing a continuous evaluation of it. So because even after it is in the market, it's really important to make sure that the use of AI is being fair. that it is not biased for certain populations. For instance, that's one of the main risks of using AI in healthcare. So it's really important that we keep in mind that the use of AI needs to be ethical and fair for everyone using it. And one last topic that I would mention, it's quite like it's somehow related to this. It's also about the transparency using AI models, because we need to make sure that even though we are using AI, the patients and the healthcare professionals, all the stakeholders involved, can somehow understand why certain decisions were made as a means to making the whole process safer and ethical for everyone.
Very good. Thanks a lot. What you mentioned now, so fair, ethical, transparent AI, these are also guiding principles for our work. They are very important in our view, also to get the trust of the users, of the patients, of the people working with AI, etc. But let us move to the fourth round of questions on challenges. And Elliot, I can't see you, but I hope you are still around. I missed your introduction today, but yesterday you told us that you are 15 years old. And I wonder how you manage, how you combine your work with you running a startup with school, and if you have any advice for other young people that would like to follow a similar path like yours.
Yeah. So the question, like how I manage school and running a startup at the same time, it's quite hard. I mean, I would say that I have around like 7-8 hours less than my competitors, and since I'm like developing and running this all on my own, it becomes even harder to like keep up with everything. But I would say that trying to I mean, like do as much schoolwork as possible during the school hours, so you don't have to do like anything on your free time, which I would say that you instead spend on developing and learning stuff. So I mean, if you are my age and you want to like start a startup or work in technology, I would not necessarily recommend that you actually start a startup, because I mean it becomes obviously as starting a startup is very, very hard, and it takes so much effort, and especially when you're in school at the same time. But if so instead you would like work on side projects and take on internships. But if you actually want to start a startup when you are 15 years old and still in school, I mean I think you should like you should I mean accept it. Like some year, obviously running a startup, you are accepting that you will sacrifice like at least 5 years. So I think that yeah, I mean having the discipline and like working really hard is the like kind of basic advice, but it's very important, I'd say. But yeah.
Thanks for that advice, Elliot. Well noted. Joanna, you deal with technical and also business aspects in your work. How do you balance the two, and which side do you find more challenging?
It's been a constant learning process for me, because balancing the two is not quite easy. I think I could answer just with one sentence, that it would be the most important part is having a balanced team that can handle both parts and also connect them. But I would say that the technical side is very complex because, of course, dealing with the technology, AI, and other challenges is quite complex. But then there's also somehow a more predictable process to overcome these challenges. Like you can research, you can test, you can iterate and refine. And somehow the process is set. For the business side, we found many challenges as well, because in medtech, beyond deciding what's your business model, defining a go-to-market strategy, and all these per se, there are complex challenges, because it's an open answer, right? Like it's not so it could be faster, but it's not so obvious how the process should unveil itself. And I think when besides all these challenges in medtech, we also have the medical device certification, which is very, very challenging for all the documentation that it requires, all the testing, all reporting, and all the timing and resources allocated to this. So I would say both are very challenging. On a personal perspective, I like challenges and I like better business, but I think both are just key to make sure the startup will fulfill its purpose, right? There's not one without the other, and for that it's really important that the team is divided, and it's very good at one and very good at the other, and mostly more than that, the team needs to be capable of communicating efficiently in between.
Oops, fantastic. Guys, let's move to the last round in order to have some time for questions from the participants, because I've been asked to close at 11:30 sharp. The last round would be about looking a bit forward-looking ahead, and it would be about what governments or policymakers could do to support technical innovations, AI adoption, in particular for young entrepreneurs. If there's any idea on your side, what could be done also, including safeguards for the use of AI, it would be now the moment for you to do that. And we start with Philip. Philip, please.
Yeah, what I think is really important is to have a finger on the pulse. So if policymakers want to really guide it, because I see it as guiding but not blocking, to create fail-safes and safeguards, they really need to have a finger on the pulse with all the young entrepreneurs, because putting barriers in place, new technologies are there to break barriers. So eventually new technologies, new AI tools are going to come out, and they're just going to circumvent some barriers, circumvent some ways. So rather than trying to just block everything, I would say try to guide it, see where everyone is going and what the direction is, and try to direct the stream into a focused way forward that people are thinking about real, change, about positive change. And also, I think a really important part of that is education. So a lot of education around how AI can be used sustainably, also as well as ethically, and to also inspire, young entrepreneurs about how to use AI, and think about everything in between. That they also think about, there's going to be hallucinations, but how can I block them? How can I put in fail safes? Okay, my AI maybe is going to spout something out that I don't want it to. How I'm going to protect myself against that? I think a lot of people, for sure, young people, they're going to want to make systems and want to go very quick. But they're also going to make a lot of mistakes, and their systems are going to, do stuff that they don't want to it's really important to put a point of attention on that and educate them, I would say.
Excellent. That was very clear and a lot of positive messages, including to us, much appreciated. Elliot, how do you see that? What could be done looking a bit ahead?
Yeah, so like Philip said, I don't think that we should kind of build barriers, but instead build guardrails and set up kind of benchmarks for AIs, like what AI can be deployed in, like that we have to have benchmarks for an AI to be able to be deployed in fields. So I think it's very important with benchmarks. And regarding like learning the coming generation about how to use AI and use AI tools, I think it's very important that we apply AI in education, because both that it's very important that we learn how to use these tools, but also how we can adjust the education for certain students' needs. Because like my experience with school has been that I have in some fields I have been a lot further. I have been we have to kind of adjust and AI enables us to adjust the education to the student. So like one size fits one for everyone kind of thing.
Very good. Take a note of. And last but not least, Joanna.
Okay, so beyond the whole part of education that Philip and Elliot already mentioned, my other suggestions would be keeping on providing access to funding, because as we're talking about regulating further AI products, it also means that they will have a longer process to reach the market. So we're talking about requiring more resources, and so access to funding is always crucial. I think that this balance that we keep mentioning between, regulating innovation with AI, but also ensuring ethics, it's very important. And I think that's the main challenge. I think policymakers need to devote a long time to try and refine this balance, because it's something very thin that we need to ensure, because we don't want to block innovation at all, but also we need to be careful, because we are dealing in many cases with human data and with our society. So I think that's really important. And finally, I think they also need to be careful and to promote somehow global networks, because as we're talking about developing AI products, they usually require lots of data quantity. And if we are making some of these processes harder, like accessing to data, and we are making all this testing more difficult, data is getting more scarce. And with that, I think policymakers can also help in making the development process more collaborative through either using synthetic data or having banks with data from different people across the globe. I think those are some of the topics that policymakers can also have within this process to
Very
foster
good.
innovation.
I can fully subscribe to almost all you have said. And let me just for info, we here in Digi Employment, we have this a bit the mantra of enabling and protecting. On the one side, we want, of course, to enable the adoption of artificial intelligence, but at the same time, we also have to keep an eye on the protection of people, of patients, you name it. So it's already 31. I see 3 hands, now only 2 left for the Q&A session. Petra, I think you were first. Could you please ask your question, and maybe also, if it's possible, tell us to who of the 3 panelists this question is addressed. Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's a very exciting discussion. And so concerning AI, we talk about a lot of opportunities, risk, ethical considerations are very much like the tendency of the discussion coming to regulatory issues. So here comes my question. Personally, I'm rather skeptical about the effectiveness of public regulations in very high technology sectors like yours. So as a AI-based business solution providers, I ask you about whether you have any story or precedents about self-regulatory solutions, and how far do you think that self-regulatory mechanisms can be effective in your sectors? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're creating a lot of content, and I think what we're self-regulating on a lot is actually the kind of content that we want in and going out, because it's going to social media. So it's really important for us to safeguard ourselves, to keep a good balance between that the creativity of people can come through, because sometimes you want to be provocative in your messaging to show people, hey, this message is interesting that I'm showing, but you don't want any bad messages. You don't want anything that, you just wouldn't say on the street. You don't want that coming out. So it's also been a process for us of testing if our software also allows for an output like that. So, and that's not something you think about at the start. As I said, you're really excited for the process that's coming and creating output. So yes, we're looking a lot at the self-regulatory, just to not go into any waters that would be really dangerous for us. So that's a big point.
Joanna or Elliot, do you want to add to that? Otherwise, we go to Fernando.
Yeah, my one is just a comment. Despite other technologies, AI most likely comes from research. So usually master degree students who, are producing the thesis, and they're doing a technical research. And I think one of the main issues when it comes to university is translating technology to business and commercialization. So in that sense, I find very interesting that a few hubs have people like Joanna, who are really entrepreneurs in tech and deep tech and produce AI to teach the newcomers, okay, you shouldn't only focus on a product, but what's the commercialization side of it and how you make money out of your invention or out of your model and so on. Because sometimes I think that researchers are quite biased and they want to have the best model. They don't know how to commercialize, and they take too much time developing a technology when sometimes, they really have enough to commercialize it and make money. And then when they raise money, then they evolve the product.
Thank you, Fernando. Any reaction on that from the panelists?
Yeah, I fully agree. It's, I've been in touch with many researchers and helping some research projects in their tech transfer processes. And I agree with mostly what Fernando said. Sometimes it's hard because the frame, like the way they think, the framework is quite different. And for that, I think we are seeing some shift in terms of innovation. I think I agree that we are going towards more startups coming from deep tech and research-based initiatives. And for that, I think we'll also need to see a shift in the way research institutions deal with their innovations, because they also need to leverage the research and bringing more people from the entrepreneurial side, business side. I think it is strategic for our competitiveness and to bring these great innovations to market.
Yeah, it's like right now almost all of the frontier research in AI is happening at the big tech companies. Like the transformer was invented at Google. The like basic structure in which is ChatGPT kind of, and like ChatGPT was also invented and for commercial purposes. So I think that it can be very problematic when they are doing the frontier research for commercialization, because then you can then they prioritize profit over safety most of the times, which can become very problematic. It's important to have good benchmarks, I believe.
Yeah,
Indeed, and sometimes it's a pity if you are the moderator and cannot tell the audience your views about self-regulation or research. But unfortunately, colleagues, we have to close here at this point. It was a very rich discussion. Thanks a lot to Joanna, Elliot, and Philip. I can only conclude by saying that Europe needs more youngsters like you. And with that, I hand back to David.
Very good. Thank you very much again to the panel for sharing your experiences, your knowledge, your experience. That's really enlightening for us because it helps to make what we're talking about more tangible when we can see concrete examples. And thanks to Max for managing the conversation. We're glad that you were able to connect in the end. So we're now at the point in the agenda where we're going to take a few minutes for a stretch. So we can take a break and we'll come back and get going again at 11:45. And at 11:45, we're going to go and we're going to learn from some case studies. So we've got 2 case studies and we'll do 2 breakout groups. Each will get 1 case study and then we'll switch so that everybody can see both of the cases. So take 6-7 minutes, go for a stretch, get a coffee, and we'll see you back at 11:45. Hello, hello, welcome back everybody. It's 11:45. So we're going to slowly get back into things, and I'll start to see how many cameras turn back on. So the plan now is that we're going to go into our breakout groups for the case studies. So what we've tried to do today is have some introductory presentations to help familiarize everybody with the concepts and the potential implications, both positive and negative, for young entrepreneurs. We met, of course, our panel of young entrepreneurs to see exactly what they're doing and how they are using AI. And now for this last part, we want to start to look at what business support providers, governments, and other actors who support and work with young entrepreneurs, what could they be doing in how they work with young entrepreneurs? What should they be doing? What's the direction things are moving? And so we've got two case studies. One is a business incubator, and they'll tell us about how they support AI businesses and how those support services differ from other types of businesses, other tech businesses. And the second one is we've got JA with us, who will tell us about how they're beginning to transform some of their programs for young entrepreneurs to account for AI and how it's working. So the plan is that we're going to divide into two. Each group will have one case study. We will have a presentation, and then there'll be some time for discussion, and then we'll switch in about half an hour so that you can see the other case and have an opportunity to ask questions there. And then we'll come back together in about an hour for a last discussion and a wrap up. And as always, I promise that we'll end as scheduled at 1 o'clock. And unless there are any questions now, we'll go into the rooms. So in a few seconds, Helen's going to set it up, and see you in a room.
I'm happy to be surrounded with colleagues.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Berkay. Berkay is also here.
Hello. Hi.
Super.
Very good.
So,
Glad.
yeah.
Why don't we just do a
David,
quick introduction? So thanks for Emma and Berkay for joining. They've agreed to come and present some of their work, and I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to hand it over to them. They'll tell us what they're doing, and then we'll go for, I don't know, Emma, 10-15 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
And then we have some time for questions and discussion. So everybody take notes as we go. There is a question about whether we should do introductions, but we're about 15 people, so maybe we'll skip that because that will take at least 5 minutes.
I would suggest if the group agrees that once we move to the discussion phase, then we will start with an introduction of each person who is contributing to the discussion. Would that work?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay.
So
Okay.
without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Emma. And again, thanks for joining us. We're really looking forward to hearing what JA is up to in this area. So over to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, David, for the invitation, and great to have also my colleagues here. Actually, Martin from Czech Republic, also Matthew from Malta, and here I am also with Berkay, who works alongside with me with Engineer Achievement Europe. So I will start with the short introduction from my side as a background. Personally, I'm not an entrepreneur, neither a coder. So to be honest, in that sense, I am the worst speaker here, but I will do my best to guide you through the program we have and also what Junior Achievement Network and Junior Achievement Europe is doing. So Junior Achievement Europe is the regional operating center of Junior Achievement Network, and Junior Achievement is actually a worldwide network. So we have our mother organization based in the US. And what we do actually for more than 100 years, we provide hands-on and immersive learning experience for young people. All of our learning experiences, which is designed from primary education, secondary, as well as to university level, all of these learning experiences are focusing learning by doing, and this is a key angle. And then the other important component of all of our learning experiences that we are working hands in hands with private sector. So it's also something which is important for all, like short-term as well as long-term learning experiences, that we engage private sectors, we engage small and medium enterprises. So we ensure that actually the knowledge as well as the skills and competencies are coming from a competitive environment. We see, unfortunately, even today, that the education systems in, let's say, all of the countries are quite rigid because of the regulation, because of many different components. But in this way, actually, Junior Achievement Network can ensure that the project-based learning, what is our focus, is also supported by market-specific expertise. And then you also see on this slide that within 1 year in Europe, we are actually reaching more than 6 million learning experiences across more than 40 countries. So in that sense, that Junior Achievement is really taking and is in a good position to take learning in a diverse environment, to take the learning from many different countries. What we are also proud of at global level, that Junior Achievement worldwide was nominated 3rd time in a row to the Nobel Peace Prize, is also because of the contribution to the different communities, as well as the contribution to actually evolve and support the education systems. Here you see some famous Junior Achievement alumni. And then I am going to talk about actually the recognition of the World Economic Forum, but this is something which is a fresh recognition. In that sense, it happened in 2024. The program that I'm going to talk about actually got a recognition as a best practice within the World Economic Forum. So just to then going a bit more in Europe. So here on this list, you see the member countries of Junior Achievement Network in Europe, and then the focus areas you see on the right-hand side. So all of the learning experiences, what we are delivering to young people and kids, actually, are focusing on 3 main pillars: entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and also work readiness. And there are cross areas which are focusing on STEM education, digital skills, and sustainability. And actually, the reason why we got the invitation to this working group is our work under the AI component. So our initiative is actually focusing on implementing innovative approach to schools. Again, and this component is really important, learning by doing. So in that sense, that youth who are involved in this program, which is AI in entrepreneurship education, the main objective is that they create AI tools. So it's not only on using AI tools and how to use AI tools, but by creating different AI tools, then they know and then they learn what are the different components of the AI literacy in that sense. And actually, AI is quite a hot topic right now, but it's also important to note here that our work actually started in 2019. So we started the collaboration with Intel, where Intel provided content what we delivered in schools. But then throughout the first year of implementation, then there was a need because the content of the AI component and the entrepreneurship education was really disconnected. Therefore, we actually applied for an EU grant, which is an Erasmus Plus forward-looking cooperation project, to invest time as well as resources to create a curricula which is merging the two. So the idea was since the beginning that within the curricula, which is delivered in schools, throughout schools, are focusing on the entrepreneurship component. So again, looking at the project-based learning, starting with the idea generation, how youth can actually create AI tools. So finding a challenge, finding a problem within a sector, and then they start to think about what is the possible AI solution which can actually tackle the problem. And then also throughout the work, it was important because it's also a strategic area of Junior Achievement Network. So once we are talking about entrepreneurship, we also want to ensure that actually entrepreneurship is available also for disadvantaged youth. So we believe that the talent is universal, the opportunities are not. So since the beginning of our work, it was also a key component how we can actually roll out the program in schools, rural areas, in schools where they don't have resources, where schools are actually, in that sense, disconnected from an innovative education. So not necessarily private schools, right? So the inclusivity, it was key, as well as the transnational and then also the multidisciplinary approach. So once we started to design actually the project itself, the application, the proposal, for us it was important to bring actually expertise from countries, in that sense, to look into what is the regulation in different countries, and then how actually the different stakeholders, public institutions, research institutions, as well as private, but private all of our J member has experience, but how these diverse stakeholders can actually shape and form the future of education. We all know that what I already mentioned, the education systems in most of the cases quite rigid, and at the same time quite regulated. And we will actually enter that component, but and the different challenges in terms of rolling out the program. But during actually the development work, during the first stage of the program, was actually to create the program itself. So once we are talking about AI is giant, AI has many different directions, especially if you want to teach to create AI. So the original idea was to have around 100 contact hours program, but then it was not fitting into any framework at all, obviously. So it was a quite challenging work to tune it down to 52 hours contact hours. So we are talking about contact hours, is not learning hours. So for example, we are rolling out the program throughout schools. So it means the teachers, they have to be involved in 52-hour training program, which is extremely challenging because none of the countries we were rolling out the program, we had 3 countries, Spain, Portugal, and Italy. And none of these countries actually have the possibility for the teachers to actually have these training hours within the accreditation system, in that sense that they could do within their working hours. So it means all of our teachers, and here you see 22 certified educators who went through the program, they actually did all of the training within their working hours. So one of the key learning during the pilot was actually to redesign again the program, because it was, for example, the teachers training had a huge dropout. So we started with 68 teachers. And we only managed to have 22 teachers in the end. So parallel the pilot implementation, we again, with experts, we started to look into the program, how we can actually, again, redesign and reshape to make it more accessible also for teachers and also for the different schools. We didn't see actually the dropout in terms of students, which actually one of the conclusion is, again, we don't have the impact studies ready, but students are more ready to take this next step than actually teachers. So if we roll out the program in schools, we also need to ensure that the regulations, as well as the accreditation of the teachers training, as well as the support system of the teachers are ready actually to roll out innovative education programs. We are also working on policy recommendation, taking the learning from the 3 countries, but at the same time, we also received additional support from EIT Deep Tech. So we are rolling out the program currently in 10 countries. So we have 7 additional countries on board, rolling out the redesigned program, and I'm going to talk about what is the change, what we were actually applying for this year. So for this policy recommendation, we would also like to use these additional 7 countries to actually shape and form the policy recommendation, which will be ready by the end of 2025. As I mentioned, one of the key angle, it was also to establish ecosystems. So we have advisory committees in these 3 countries where we started. And again, but based on the capacity of the new countries, they have also, we encourage them to establish the same. Here again, so we received the recognition from the World Economic Forum as well as from EIT Deep Tech. So this is a big ambitious by the end of 2025. So with the additional countries, we are aiming to actually reach and equip students, so meaning that they will finish the program more than 18,000. And also developing AI solutions. And here it comes then the key learnings. So once we are talking about schools and communities, what was the, let's say, the niche since the beginning is actually finding case studies, role models for the students, because this is key. So in terms of mentors, in terms of role models, it's something which we need to further invest and engage. And I made already a note. I don't know if Fernando is here. I heard him speaking before, so I would like to have him as a mentor. But it's also something which even in a private sector, not necessarily business volunteers, they feel comfortable with actually defining or supporting youth in this journey, meaning that creating different AI solutions. So we need to actually work on that one. And then the other element, which was, if we think about, and what I mentioned, the inclusivity component was important since the beginning. This is extremely challenging because the schools, they have a lack of tools. They don't have actually computer labs. And then also we are talking about different licenses, right? So it's one part what we can provide within the education content, but more successful you are if you also play around with the different existing AI tools, right? You do your own research and you diversify your background knowledge on the topic itself. And here it comes, which is extremely challenging to actually move to these schools. And not only moving to these schools, but actually having a sustainable program rollout. In that sense that at some point we also needed to have plan B. Once we have a teacher dropping out, how we can ensure that the students who are already engaged in the program, then they can actually finish the program. The only way how we can is actually providing support, mentor support, expert support, who can actually consult with the teams. So all of the students, they are actually working in teams. So even the roles and responsibilities within the teams are diversified, but each team needs support, especially once we are talking about creation of AI tools, and then creation of AI tools in line with the current regulation. And here it comes actually the other component. Why is it important for us to teach young people to create tools? Because when they are creating, they also have to understand what's the current regulation. For example, our program is focusing on computer vision, but what is the data literacy? What is the data bias? How you get the data? Then how you collect the data? So all of these different components, even if they fail, because also in our programs, it's completely fine if you fail. If it's completely fine if you are not reaching actually the end of the game, so you don't have a prototype, it's also fine, but you learn so many different things. you learned how to think about the process. But this is also something which was extremely challenging. And even we have a revised, now the second revised version of the program, but these two different components are really disconnected in that sense that it's really difficult to find case studies which are actually supporting the entrepreneurial learning journey, the learning flow with the AI component. In that sense that how you think about the idea generation when you think about also possible AI solution, right? But you, sorry, Martin, say it. Okay. No, sorry, I thought it's a question. So this was also one of the challenge, and then here it comes then the profile of the teacher. So once we actually set up the project, we set up the type of the schools where we want to roll out the program during the pilot year. We also made like a profile of the teachers who could support actually the program implementation, who could actually be and engaged in the teachers training. And then what we found actually this segmentation of the profile of the teacher. So once we are talking about the IT teacher, then it was needed and like increased hours on the entrepreneurial learning. So what are the different stages? How you think about what is the creative problem solving? How you can actually support students with the creative problem solving? How do you actually select the idea? Because it's one thing which there is a challenge. Teams, they have 20 different ideas, but then how do you decide which out of the 20 ideas is the suitable, which could actually make for an AI application? And this is really different than actually the other entrepreneurial learning, because you have to always keep in mind these two different tracks, like what is the possible AI solutions, what I can work with, and then also what is the challenge, what I would like to address. So this was the other component. And what I mentioned, that the flexibility of the different countries, that even there is a ready training program for the teachers and schools are engaged, but still they don't have a flexibility actually support the teachers to do the training, to deliver the program within their working hours. So all of the teachers who have been involved in the program, they did and they implemented outside of their working hours. So again, it does a lot of the amazing teachers community out there in Europe and in general, like the dedication of our educators. But this is something which is a crucial need if we talk about innovative education. And I'm going to stop here. Actually, just before the discussion, just quickly, so everyone is aware of the program I was talking. So this is already the roadmap of the revised version of the program. So we decided to have actually two, not two track, actually one track, but with an extended track. So the first, we call it as a no-code roadmap. So it's 32 hours, and during the 32 hours training program, actually students, the output of the program is that the students are developing business idea, but only with no code or low code AI tools. So in that sense that they take the existing no code tools and then they apply for the business idea. And then also they will work on creating a data set, image library to train the model. So both of the tracks are actually focusing on computer vision, because we had to also select what is the AI path what we are taking. For now, this is just the beginning. Maybe for moving forward, we are going to have more diversified program, but we choose the computer vision because in that sense that this is like, let's say, the easiest AI roadmap what we can take with existing or with creating solutions. And then Vicky has a course, sorry. Vicky, yeah, okay. So these are the four main stages of the short version of the program. So still, students, they start with the demystify component. What is AI and how, what is the project cycle of an AI? And then they move to data literacy to understand what is the data set they can work and also how to clean data sets and so on. And then the longer version, which we call as a coding version, the difference is that here students are actually creating prototypes with coding. And then they focus, so you see that actually the fourth step here is the experience component. So students are actually, yeah, they learn how to code using Python. So briefly, I don't know, David, if I managed to keep the time, but for now I would stop, and I'm curious about any reflections, any questions, and also what's your experience within your country and so on.
That was fantastic, Emma. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have some questions, but we'll open up the floor for questions, reactions, and even sharing of experience from your country if you have a similar program or are aware of different activities that are related to this. So the floor is open. Please introduce yourself when you come in. We're waiting for a volunteer just to speak up. Fernando.
Hey, just huge compliments to Emma. Junior achievement in Portugal is really huge. I had the opportunity to mentor 2 or 3 years ago, and I could see how the students were really focused on, you know, having the first experience with entrepreneurship and the amount of mentors that were mobilized for the program. I was impressed because I never seen something like that in other countries. So, and I think that this really contributes, you know, sometimes the students doesn't get it right at the first, but it creates the bug and they have the experience in the methodology. So they learn for a second attempt to be more successful.
Yeah, thank you, Fernando. And I hope actually we can engage you and in this program rollout, because definitely it's even we have a tech. I don't know if you know the school, which is a secondary school, but focusing on coding. But it would be great to have you as a mentor and as an expert to support our youth. Thanks, and thanks for the compliment, Fernando. I see, Matthew, your question. So the 32 hours as well as the 52 hours are in classroom or online content. So the teacher's training, which was the biggest constraint for the training program, we designed it for the 32 hours short roadmap. It's around like 80% is synchronized session, and then the rest 20% is asynchronized. So meaning that we have the delivery, online delivery, but also the asynchronized is throughout the platform with exercises. So it's also in that sense you can decide whether on which when you would like to take. But again, those are active contribution, so activities online. And the division for the 52 hours is the same. For delivering the program, it's up to the teachers to decide how they would like to deliver the program. And again, it's up to the collaboration with different mentors, different experts like Fernando, how they would like to divide the delivery method, right? And again, based on the need, on the local need, you can decide that even if some of the sessions were designed as an asynchronized sessions, sorry, my pronunciation, you can decide actually to have it in the classroom or the other way around. I hope it helps. But again, this is the active learning hours, the active part. But depending on the background of the teachers, depending on the background of the students, the additional learning can or practice can be longer in that sense. Specifically the practice, because the prototype, depending on what is the data set you choose, how long does it take to clean it, right? Or whether you choose the yeah. Anyway, Martin.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to add a little bit more into, into the information about how it goes really in the trenches, and I just wanted to frame it also because, to work with the in conservative environment, which is basically educators who are extremely conservative in a way, that it's sometimes a big battle, but I think battle which can be won. I can say that, for example, due to COVID, we introduced e-learning, and I can tell you that we in 2021 had like 5,000 students served, and now last year we had 56,000 students served in e-learning as a concept. And of course, we are looking the same way on the AI. To us, AI it's a tool, and since we teach entrepreneurship, engineering achievement, we think that entrepreneurs should be using the tools which are available to them. But it's again battle with the school environment, which is actually saying, look, maybe there'll be cheating because of AI and so on. So this is everything we need to overcome. But even that, it's a very popular topic. Again, last year, we had several programs in AI for schools when we served like 4,000 students. We had 2 webinars when we had 1,200 students about practical use of AI. And so the need is there. We are very happy as we are working with what Emma was introducing, and we already trained our master trainers who's going to be teaching the teachers. So we will see how it's going to go. We can report later on. But also, for example, we do So For Tomorrow program where we introduce AI as a main topic because we want the students to actually use the tool AI and use it by the learning by doing, by actually using it for something, creating something with it. So that's the situation from down on the trenches, how we are basically pushing the AI into the schools and into the students. Just a comment.
Thank you, Martin.
Not a question.
Thank you.
We still have about 2 or 3 minutes if there are any other questions. Otherwise, I have about 10 that I've got ready to go from my own perspective. But I mean, I want to give everybody the chance because this is really an opportunity for you to learn. So there's no one jumping up. So I mean, I'll start to fire away for my questions. I mean, your presentation was excellent and you really sort of understand the challenge because we've got a new rapidly changing area. So it's not like we can just, take a model of this program and apply it here because there's nothing like it. And so it's a really pioneering example. And as you were going through it, I sort of was realizing, yeah, it's great to have a program for the young people and the students, but how on earth are you going to do it if the teachers aren't equipped to do it? So you've got to have another part of the program aimed at them. And then once you get that in order, you sort of realize, okay, what exactly are we going to be using for the content? We don't have any case studies, we don't have anything. So you've got to also build the content, and it's a monumental challenge. I just want to point that out because that was one of the takeaways for me. So my question is a bit more forward-looking. You started with a pilot, you've made some changes. How do you see it going forward? And I wonder if you have any concerns about the speed at which the technology is developing. Do you anticipate having to make major revisions every year because the content is changing, or do you think it's going to stabilize?
So first of all, of course, the vision is that all of our GA countries in Europe are rolling out the program, but also actually we are aiming to revise the content in each year. The basic idea in that sense that the learning by doing is key component. So it's something which you cannot keep it up with the different AI tools developed day by day, actually. So the main objective, and it's the same with the different digital, more broaden, like let's say digital skills teaching materials, is more to understand how you use it or what in this case, like how to create, by then you will learn. So in that sense, like The vision is that we have a flexibility in all of the countries to actually roll out the program. At the same time, this is really a big wish that since Junior Achievement Network it is already way ahead of other in the first line in terms of delivering quality education because of the long-term experience, because of the strong partnerships what we have with us. Therefore, it allows actually to really shape the different policy areas. So then the other objective would be, and in that sense, I'm here with Matthew and Martin from the country level, but for me, to be honest, it's a bigger wish that our member organizations are positioned in a way that they can change national policies rather than Europe at European level. Because what we see, again, it's really disconnected what's happening at the European level and what's happening at national level. So even before the AI actually hit and kicked the room, there was a huge difference between countries. So for example, if we think about the Eastern European countries, still the education system, especially the secondary education system, did not move to skills and competence-based learning. They were still focusing on knowledge-based learning, while the Scandinavian countries, they managed to make this change way faster, right? So then now, when we are talking about even more in-depth change, in that sense that it's one part which soft skills are always going to be the winner, right, in the job market. But at the same time, and I completely agree with this sentence, that AI is not taking your job, but who knows how to use AI will take your job. So in that sense, we cannot really skip this round, and then, yeah. I see the hand. Our time is up, and
we've got to wrap
okay.
up. And thanks very much. That was great. So the plan is that you will go to the other room and present the case.
Yeah.
And we've got Raquel already here. I see there was a question in the chat, so perhaps Berk here, one of the other colleagues, could respond to that. I think it's a more general question. So on behalf of the group, thanks very much, Emma. That was really great. And
thank you.
Good luck in the other room.
Yes, thank you.
So you Helen will move you over there. I'm just going to tell her now. So Emma is going to zoom off, and we've got Raquel with us. So we've got the second case. Raquel, welcome to our room. We're very excited to have you. And why don't we just get right into it? I'll hand the floor over to you, and you can introduce yourself and what you're up to at the Incubator.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. So let's dive into it. My name is Raquel, and I am the COO at Build Up Labs. And we are both a startup studio and a startup incubator based in Lisbon, Portugal. So I'm going to be presenting what we do in both sides of the company. So let me just quickly share my screen. All right. So as I was saying, we are both a startup studio and an incubator. We started back in 2014, so we are 10 years old, but we're actually part of a group of companies called Common Group, which is 23 years old. The first company and the largest one is actually a leading marketing agency here in Portugal, working with large companies such as Mercedes, McDonald's, Samsung, etc. And we started as a spin-off of Common, again, 10 years ago. We had a lot of product ideas that we simply wanted to build because in the end, the background of our team is in tech. And that's how exactly we started. We had product ideas and we started working on a process of coming up with product ideas, then building them, and eventually, hopefully, growing them into a real startup. This process wasn't really good in the beginning, so we've had several failures over the last 10 years. They're all on our website if you'd like to check, builduplabs.com. But then we've also been working on other cases that have, thankfully have been more successful. So the goal of our venture builder is to use our own team and our own resources to build several startups in parallel to increase the chances of success. And again, we've been fine-tuning our process over the last years to make it more efficient. So to give you an overview of this process, and again, this wasn't how it used to be in the beginning. So in the beginning, we just had a random idea, and then because we were tech people, we built it, and then we launched the product, and then realized no one really wanted this product. So then we learned our lesson, and nowadays our process is to ideate, come up with several ideas. And by the way, we have always around 50 startup ideas ongoing in our own documents and boards, and then we select a few of them only to then validate with the market, go talk to the market, see if there's an actual need from the potential customers, and if so, then we move on to build an MVP. And this is a really simple version of the product of what it could be. And we like to say, again, nowadays, because this didn't used to be how we did it 10 years ago, but nowadays we like to say we don't write a single line of code before actually validating. So ideally, this minimum viable product does not include any code. This has changed a little bit with the AI products, but still we like to keep them simple in the beginning. Hopefully, after the minimum viable product and having some initial users, we go on to the beta version of the product, and then hopefully eventually to the product market fit stage, where we can obviously have more users, more growth, more sales, which then leads us to either one of these three options. Again, we're creating several startups at the same time, and once it's working well and we reach product market fit, we either continue growing the startup because it's generating revenue for Build-Up Labs, or we exit by being acquired by another company, or we create a spin-off company where they can grow more independently and we're just part of the board members, and of course we still collaborate. So we like to say that our mindset is to think big, have big ideas, but then know how to start small in a simple way, and then we either grow fast or we kill it fast and cheap. We really have to be lean in order for this whole process to work. So we're always trying to save as many resources as possible, both money and time. And to give you some examples of the products that we've built. So over the last 10 years, we have built 16 products so far. We've had 5 exits, and we have 3 active products, which are these 3 here. So everything else has failed. And again, you can see them on our website. Very important part of our journey to get a lot of learnings. So some examples. Tap My Back is an employee recognition and engagement software. This means that it's a B2B product to help employees within a company to recognize each other and to provide feedback to each other. Obviously, this product became more popular during COVID times because of remote work. And this is a product that this is our latest exit. So we've exited this product last year, at the end of last year. Tap My Back is an example of a product that does not include AI, but is a product that we are currently working on with the buyers of the product to implement a few AI features. So Tap My Back did not have any AI, but the buyers realized, okay, now with the AI trend, we should include a few features. And because we have the knowledge of both AI and the product itself, we're currently discussing with them how we can help them implement AI here. Then quickly, we have Kiss My Score, which is B2C product, so it changes here. We've created many different products, both B2B and B2C. And Kiss My Score is a product, if you like football, to create friendly bets on football game scores. So very popular during World Cup, Euro Cup. You can do this with your friends, or you can compete globally with everyone in the app. So it's a very fun game. And then our 2 latest products, and the ones that include AI, we have Grants Finder, which is a chatbot for you to get the best matches when it comes to EU funding. I think we all know that European grants can be confusing and a little bit overwhelming to find and decide which ones are the best for us. So we created this simple chatbot where you input the information about your project, and we'll give you the best matches when it comes to grants, so that then you can check which ones you should apply for. And then finally, our latest product is called Ascori, and this has been our main focus in the last 9 months. And Ascori is an AI marketing assistant to help both marketers and entrepreneurs to create marketing strategies for either their own startups or for their clients. So Ascori, you just add some information again about your startup. It's also a chatbot, but much more than that. You input some information about the project and it will give you ideas of tactics for you to implement to increase your number of clients, etc. And then it will also generate content for you. So for example, if the marketing tactic is to create blog articles, then it will generate the blog articles for you. This is just an example. So it's a very powerful tool and has been our main focus. So this is what we do in the Startup Studio, and this is how we started operating as Build Up Labs. So again, over the last 10 years, we've been building our own startups that we are full owners of, and then eventually we either exit them, or we create a spin-off, or we keep working on them, or we do both. Based on the experience, back in 2020, during the pandemic, actually, we created our incubator. And this is where we support other startups and other founders. And we like to say, we help them avoid making the same mistakes that we've already made. And we've made tons of mistakes in the Venture Builder. So our program is, again, we're based in Lisbon. So our program obviously has a lot of startups based in Lisbon, but we actually are very remote friendly. So half of our startups are actually based abroad. We are agnostic on sector and stage, and you will see that at the end of the presentation where I show some examples. We have usually between 50 to 60 startups at the same time. So we do not work with cohorts. We work individually with each startup. So that's why we are always onboarding new startups to our community. And again, a very international community since we are remote friendly. So we have around 25 different nationalities in our community. And we don't rely only on our team and our experience, but we also, of course, rely on our network of mentors, investors, and partners, again, from all over the world, mostly Europe, since we are based in Europe, but really from around the globe. So just to give some better understanding of how we support the startups, I like to say that our incubator program is based on 3 main pillars, being the first one, the advisory and guidance from our team specifically. So again, we've gained a lot of experience through the Venture Builder. Everyone in our team is an entrepreneur. So we use that knowledge to guide our startups, again, individually. And we provide them with regular advice, guidance, every time they need, or anytime they need, really. At the beginning of our program, we meet with them individually, create a plan for them according to their needs and their challenges, and then we define how we're going to support them, either with the knowledge of our team or, again, with the support of our network. So if they have a specific challenge in any topic, really, it could be marketing, it could be design, it could be fundraising, legal, then we go on to our network and we get the best person or the best company to help them overcome that challenge. Of course, we also introduce them to investors when they are fundraising. And then the third pillar is our community and events. So we do have, again, founders based in Lisbon, but also online. So that's why we really work on a community that is both online friendly and then also a Lisbon-based community where we have events every month. But we do also webinars for our startups. The main focus is that they connect with like-minded founders that are going through the same or similar experiences. And then finally, of course, we also have perks and discounts to help our startups save some money. And we also have our really cool co-working space, which is by the river in Lisbon. Not the main focus since we did start when everyone was at home, but definitely a very important pillar as well for our incubator. Okay, so now to finalize the presentation, I want to show you some examples of startups at our incubator, some that are not using AI and some that are using AI, just to show you different use cases. And also want to highlight that a couple of these startups actually are entrepreneurs or founded by young entrepreneurs. Some of them started during university, their bachelor's degree or their master's, and it's been really cool to see them grow. So we actually work closely with universities, especially in Lisbon. So we do a lot of mentoring there. We're often invited for classes or for being mentors at their programs. And then we end up supporting these startups, and we have a special program of, we call it pre-incubation for students. And then hopefully they will eventually join our incubation program once they are growing. So starting with these first three examples, we have Sway, which is a fintech startup based in the UK. The founders are spread across the globe, actually. One in Portugal, one in the US, but they're based in the UK, so it's a very international team. But Sway is a fintech startup, and they provide a payments application for small businesses. Not just in the UK, it's also available in Portugal and the Netherlands, and I believe one more country. This one does not have AI, at least for now. Then we have Reish, which is a vertical farming company. As you can see, we have very different industries in our incubator. Reish has very strong machine learning algorithms, but we haven't really supported them in this part because they have really good experts in this field. And with Reish, for example, we mostly, and Sway as well, actually, our main focus has been supporting them on their fundraising journey. So just to give you some examples of how we support the startups. Reish is also very international, based in Lisbon, already have almost 2 vertical farms. They're almost launching the second one in Portugal, but they're already looking into building vertical farms across Europe. And then we have Intuitivo, which is a great example of a startup founded by young entrepreneurs at university. They were inspired by their parents who are teachers in school, and they realized that there's a big problem when it comes to creating and correcting tests of their students. So the founders decided to create a platform that allows teachers to create tests online and then correct them as well. Tests can be printed for those that prefer physical tests, but Intuitivo is already being used nationally for national exams, actually, in school in Portugal. And it's a good example of a startup that does not have AI implemented just yet, but of course they're already thinking about it since, well, AI is, as I'm sure you've discussed throughout the whole morning, that is a very big trend and something that we should focus on. So this is a startup that we also support through our CTO in this case, who obviously has a tech background and the AI knowledge as well. So our CTO has been supporting them in general when it comes to tech challenges that they have, but then specifically we can discuss with them and help them understand how they can implement AI into their already existing platform, and how they can also gather feedback from teachers to understand what features they can build next. Now, going to examples of startups that already have AI implemented. Some are more advanced than others, but I want to show you these 5 examples. So we have Digin, very cool example of a seed stage startup. Actually, they started as part of an Indian company called Zomato, which is a marketplace to find restaurants. That's how they started. So you can go on their app, find a restaurant, and book a table. Very simple. But now by the way, they're now independent. That's why they've rebranded into Digin. They're fully independent from the Indian mother company. And with all of these years of gathering data of restaurants, menus of restaurants, and bookings from clients, they are now shifting onto a B2B business model as well, where their data is becoming very valuable for B2B clients, like Coca-Cola and other large brands. So they're also now implementing AI in this section. So it's a really cool project to see grow, and we've very much been supporting them with fundraising, especially. Then we have Building. Building is also an example of a company started by university graduates who finished their, I believe, civil engineering studies, And they are building a platform to help construction companies to make more sustainable projects and buildings. So they use AI to do this in terms of choosing the best materials for the buildings and much more. Yeah, so this is a company that we've also been supporting since the beginning, and it's been really cool to see them grow. They joined our pre-incubation program, and now they're currently incubated with us. And then we have the newsroom, which is fighting misinformation in the news, very important topic as well, and they're doing this through AI. This example because I think it's a very cool example of a company that started as really not a very techy project, but is now shifting on to AI and tech in general. So this young entrepreneur, also coming out of university, his name is Miguel, and he wanted to make education more engaging. And he did this by finding a niche, first of all. So his niche is UX, UI designers, and specifically senior designers. So he started The Starter, which is an online school for live courses on UX and UI, and nowadays, of course, a few more topics, again, for senior designers. He targets either individuals or companies that want their employees to learn more and, of course, advance in their career. And this is what he's been doing for, I believe, the last 3 years. So he's set up, again, not very techy, an online school operating mostly in Portugal and Brazil in Portuguese. And he does these courses live, very simple, nothing really techy. But now he's leveraging this network that he's already built, this knowledge that he's gained, to create Plano. And Plano is the platform he's currently building, so it's not available yet. But Plano is going to be a platform for companies to be able to create personalized plans for their employees when it comes to education. So it doesn't have to be only in UX and UI. So now he's broadening his scope, and it's basically going to be a platform where you can input your employees, their needs, and it will generate, and with AI, it will generate suggestions of how they can, improve and develop personally. And then it will suggest courses that they should do. Of course, it can be courses from The Starter, as this is a great acquisition channel for him, but not necessarily. So it'll include a big scope of courses, different fields. Of course, again, he's starting with UX UI because this is where he has his largest network and knowledge, but then he will expand into other topics as well. So I believe this is a very interesting example of a regular business, again, not very techy, and how he's now including AI by leveraging even his network and his knowledge. So yeah. And then finally, we have Deep Neuronic. This is a seed stage startup, and they are doing security cameras with AI. So these security cameras can be for forests, retail stores, what else? Roads, yeah, very important for roads as well. And with the AI in the cameras, they can detect thefts, they can detect fires, road accidents, or even analyze the behavior of clients in retail stores and understand, for example, where the store is lacking team members to help these clients. So Deep Neuronic has a very big scope, and it's been very interesting to support them. In this case, we support them individually with business development and some fundraising as well. So again, their scope is quite large. So we've been helping them with some connections with potential clients, and then of course fundraising so they can continue expanding. They're currently operating in Portugal, but they obviously are looking into expanding abroad as well. So these are some of the examples in our incubator. And to finalize, so Sway is based in the UK. Everyone else is mostly based in Portugal, but with international teams and some already operating abroad as well. So I think I will stop right there. This is the final slide, and I'm open to any questions.
That was great. Thank you very much. We will open the floor for questions. We've got a few minutes. And to get the ball rolling, I think I'll ask one of my own. And one of the takeaways I had was that, clearly the support offered is very much tailored to the individual companies and their needs. But I was wondering if is it possible to step back and look and see, well, these AI-based businesses are different somehow in their support needs from the others? Are there one or two points that you could highlight as how they're different?
Yeah. Helen asked the same question, and I don't think we have seen, you're very much aligned. I don't think we have seen a huge difference, but I think the main point is that AI is something very new still. And for example, Intuitive hasn't had a chance yet to implement AI. So what we've been seeing is more uncertainty in how to navigate this this new reality and how to implement it and actually join the wave. So we've been trying to help more on that sense. And we've been we've been working on expanding our network when it comes to AI experts to help them technically implement AI. So I think this is the main difference. And then, of course, we see a big wave and a big interest from investors when it comes to AI projects. So we've been seeing an increase there as well for when we're connecting startups to investors.
Okay, great. The floor is open. Anyone can jump in. And again, please introduce yourself because Raquel missed it the first time. So would anyone like to take the floor for reactions or questions? We see Fernando. Please go ahead.
Hey, Raquel, very nice to see you here. I just want to give a 2 cents. I find really cool the work that Build Up Labs does. Here in Portugal, there is a lot of incentives for accelerators and incubators to have programs. And there is a big caveat on that because it becomes a business model. You have a public policy that allow incubators and accelerators to have programs. They run a program and then the founder is left alone after the program because there's no budget to support the founder. And because Build Up Labs comes from a startup studio, a venture studio where they really want the business to succeed, these kinds of programs for me work better because the main focus is not to offer a nine weeks program where you're supposed to accelerate startups but end up being waste of time for founders. I guess something that's more related to startup venture studio really wants those startups to succeed. Sometimes you don't have a structured program, but you give all the resources that a certain founder need, like 2 or 3 connections to my clients. Okay, you're struggling with developing your product, here's how you should do it. So increase really the possibility of a founder to be successful. So
definitely agree with you. And to add to that, yes, so I think there's a big advantage that we have this startup studio background because we have the practical experience, which I think is a very important value proposition from our side. And that's why when I say there's no big difference is because all our startups are tech-based. So I think a great thing that we have is our CTO. He's amazing. He has so much knowledge. He's built every single product in our studio. So he can really support our startups when it comes to building their tech products, whether they have AI or not. So once we see a new wave, even Web3, when Web3 became very popular as well, we were trying to ride this wave, learn more about it so that we could then support the startups there as well. So this is one thing. And then the other thing that Fernand mentioned, and I very much agree, is we're not against these acceleration programs that have specific duration. We actually recommend that our startups join those programs as well in parallel, but we see ourselves as more of a long-term partner available to the startups anytime they need. We really are there for anytime they need. And they can join us for as long as they would like and for as long as it makes sense. So we have startups that maybe join for 6 months because they are raising a seed round. We help them raise the round and they're gone. Of course, we keep in touch, but they are good to go. And then we have startups that have stayed with us for a very long time. For example, the newsroom has been with us since the beginning of the incubator. So 4 years, or 3, maybe 3. maybe it wasn't since the beginning, but 3 years. So it's been really cool to see these projects grow through time, and to keep in touch with them. And yeah, so Building is a more recent project, joined 9 months ago. Deep Neuronic as well, the started as well. Intuitive has been with us also since 2021. Reige as well. So we have some projects that stay with us for a really long time, and they can rely on us for any advice, or sometimes they just need, a cheerleader, and we're there for that as well.
All right, great. We're going to head back into the room, just looking to see if there are any other questions. Last chance. If not, well, we'll take the opportunity to thank Raquel for coming to share the experience. That was great to learn about the lab and what you're doing in Portugal. And, perhaps one of the lessons is that AI maybe is not so different from other tech companies in some ways when we're thinking about how to support them. So we'll have to reflect on that further. And I think we're going to go back now. So thanks again. And we'll see you in the main room all together. And we'll just do a quick wrap up for a couple of minutes with the full group. So see you on the other side.
Hello, hello.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I think we are still coming back from the breakouts, but it seems like most people are here. So I'm going to hand the floor over to Helen. We all know Helen. We've all been in touch with Helen. And so she's going to wrap it up today. So Helen, over to you.
Thank you, David. Yes, I am happy to briefly talk about all of the interesting things we shared today. We started with what is AI, with a brief description of the technologies that are coming out, how they're being used. We heard from young entrepreneurs and how they're integrating and starting AI-based businesses. We had the large picture from our co-host Hess, who shared how work is changing, really, how AI and new technologies are here to stay, and it's up to us to adapt how we use them and how we work. And our panelists also reinforce that message with people aren't going to be replaced by AI, but they will be replaced by people who are using these tools and these new resources. So that's a key message to take away from today's workshop. And we also heard from our speakers in the presentations on concrete ways that young people are being equipped with the skills or reskilling in certain situations. We had examples of tech startups that didn't have AI and now are using AI and integrating in further iterations of their startups. So it's really interesting to see all of the different activities that are taking place around the EU. And lastly, we heard suggestions and calls for policymakers and governments to address the AI wave that's arriving in entrepreneurship, and to help young people by implementing safeguards and benchmarks, and to have really their finger on the pulse to understand that this isn't going to go away, and that this is only going to evolve and change. So to keep up with what's happening and to support young people and entrepreneurs in developing their businesses further with these tools. So with that, I will now turn briefly to our future YEPA activities. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the workshop, this was a thematic workshop chosen by you. So we actually had another workshop yesterday for a different country group on role models. So you're welcome to check out the materials on role models. We have another one next week on networks that you're welcome to join if that's of interest. We'll have another YEPA workshop round, so workshop number 5, probably in November or later this year. We'll communicate the details and dates with you shortly. But as a reminder, we are once again at the point where we're going to switch the country groups. So workshops 5 and 6 will be with new country groups, and it will be the last time we do that. So hopefully you will get to meet people and interact with others who you haven't seen yet, and maybe there'll be a few familiar faces as well. So keep your eyes out for the YEPA mailings with information on the group changes and the upcoming events. And lastly, like we mentioned, there are several YEPA side events. We had a great workshop in Croatia earlier this week, and there's another opportunity in November in Austria. These are optional, additional events. They're not required by any means, but we are happy to share opportunities with the YEPA community to engage and learn from each other when possible. And we will also circulate information on the OECD event on women that will take place in November later this month. So thank you again to all of our speakers. We really enjoyed your presentations and appreciate you joining us today. And thank you again to all the YEPA participants for coming. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon. Nice.
Thank you all. Thanks for the invite. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.